Well, we're going to start, buddy. So thanks, everyone. Whoever's not on live, that's fine. This will be recorded. My name is Mike Samrah at sold.ca, and I got good buddy Dave Daley. He's from Cali. He's going to be talking to us, Dave, I guess, about attitude, routine, motivation, stuff along those lines. I think that would be very important for a lot of sales reps like myself or people who are in sales, because it can be quite an emotional roller coaster, I guess, when you first start and that kind of stuff. So thanks for coming on, and yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And I know we've been connected for a while now. Yeah, you know, for me, it's about, my message really comes down to two things. Tying in personal development with real practical steps, right, in order to get there. And I'm a big believer that it's always the same recipe, but just different ingredients, right? And what I mean by that, over the last 20 plus years, I've been fortunate enough to have built and sold 3 companies in 3 different industries, right? Because it is the same recipe, just different ingredients. And the 3 businesses, 2 were service-based. The other was product-based, right? But it did come back to service-based. That's how we were able to build it and sell it, and it made sense to flip it. And my very first business I built and sold from 95 to 2000. That's how old I am. I set it up a lot like a real estate agency, right? It was a public adjusting firm in Philly, outside of Philadelphia. And for anybody that's not familiar with public adjusters, we're licensed and bonded in the state to represent the homeowner against the insurance company. So we work on a contingent fee, a lot like a personal injury lawyer. Well, I set my firm up a little different than a lot of people in the industry back then. Is I set it up where I had my office manager, my secretary. They were the only ones on salary. Everyone else was straight commission, right? And what I realized is, and when I got introduced to straight commission as a sales rep back in the day in that industry, I realized that it's either in your DNA or it's not, right? And it really weeds out a lot of the pretenders, and it also helps clarity. And when I got introduced to commission sales, that meant there was nobody micromanaging me, right? There was nobody just feeling like I'm in that
Microscope
environment, right? Yeah. Which shut me down. That's just part of my DNA. So I set my firm up that exact way. I had adjusters on staff were straight commission. So that means the higher they closed that claim out, the more they made, the quicker they closed it out, the quicker they got paid. Mm-hmm. My sales reps, right? Straight commission. Maybe, depending on the situation, maybe a draw for 3 to 6 months. But the goal is, if you're not chipping away at that draw, yeah, you're not a fit here, right? So, but the beautiful thing about that, Michael, as you know, right, better than anybody, when you find that fit, there's no ceiling.
That's right.
It's complete freedom.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why a lot of people love that aspect. I think that's why a lot of people kind of joined real estate as well, for exactly what you mentioned.
Yes.
Not being micromanaged, not having to answer to somebody, and being able to work as hard as you want and make as much as you can. But as much as those are great things to go after, the majority of the people, that's the biggest downfall for them. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So being able to self-manage yourself, a lot of people maybe, truthfully can't do that. They can't put in a good 5-6 days of work, especially when you're in full commission like I am. You have to work to get paid. And if you don't work, you don't get paid. And you have to be motivated all the time. There's no ceiling, but also, you can make $0 as well in that same breath, right?
Yeah, and I think it's such an awesome point. And I'm so pumped that you went there, because that is such a big part of this recipe, right? Is when you're a commission salesperson, number one, first of all, understanding the paradigm, right?
Yeah.
You're building a business within a business. And if you don't understand that, you're already lost, number one. Number two, the reason that I love doing what I do, from the experience I've had over the years, is I've always been the sales guy, right? The main salesperson until I could scale my business and replace myself. I was always the front guy. So I love being able to share this. And one of the things that I work with my clients is exactly what you talked about, is if you're hitting that that rut, if you're feeling that funk, let's reverse engineer. Let's first figure out, right, what you shine at. See, for me, the reason my public adjusting firm scaled and I was able to actually sell it and put a value on that is because I reverse engineered, right? What I did was I realized that the back end had to be covered. So I had the best office manager anybody could have. And I share stories of that from stage. Robin, absolutely monster mode, right? She did all the back end stuff. My ex-wife did all the bookkeeping and all the accounting and worked directly with my accountant, right? But that allowed me now to do what I do and get out there, be the front guy. So if you are not that person, let's reverse engineer and find that front person, right? Or if you are. So the point is understanding, let's reverse engineer, let's figure it out, and then let's fill the voids.
So what you're saying is, and I've heard Gary Vaynerchuk say this as well, is that double down on your strengths and hire where you're weak at, as opposed to people always saying that you need to work on your weaknesses. Is you're basically saying double down on your strengths.
That, and let's go deeper on the weaknesses, right? So not just finding the people that will fill that void, but here's what's so important. When you find those people, now what happens is they help you with the systems, right? On the back end. That's not my strength, right? I want to just bring it in, explode the brand, and let them put all the pieces back behind me. Because if I don't have anybody behind me, it is a train wreck, Michael. And that's one of the things I talk about is built and sold 3 companies in 3 different industries, but I also crashed one to the ground. And because I thought I had the people and the processes right in place, and I didn't. It was a restaurant. I realized that I'm much better on this side of the counter than that side when it came to the restaurant business.
So am I.
But you want to know something? We killed it when we were open as far as business. We just didn't have the people and the systems. And I should say, let me rephrase that. Me, right? The buck stops here. I didn't have that in place. So owning that helped me really move forward. So yeah, I love being able to dissect and reverse engineer and really help people run with their strengths.
So I think above all is what you're saying is that we really have to know ourselves. So we have to take that inventory of ourselves and see where we lie. Because I think a lot of people either have a false pretense of who they are, what they're good at and what they're not. I think that's a huge part as well from what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and that's why when I decided to put together and create and build the 90-day brand builder boot camp, first of all, Michael, I believe that any system out there, anything that anybody's selling to help enhance somebody in business, if it doesn't have personal development, it's not complete.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about everything. And that's why I like, obviously talking to you, because we can talk about how to do real estate or how to do any of that stuff. But I think if in between here, if you're not set properly, you will not succeed, right? You can have the best, running shoes to be a runner and do all this other stuff. But if you haven't trained properly in here, I think you've already been defeated. So that's hugely important. I think attitude and knowing yourself, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And understanding, right, that there is no destination, right? Personal development is a lifestyle change. Great. One of the businesses, my third business I built and sold was a sports nutrition store here in Southern California, right? And I'd have people come in all the time and they want help with their diet. They want help with getting in shape. They want help with their supplements. They want workout regimens. And I used to tell them all the time, I can give you the best workout program. I can give you the best meal plan and help and set you up with the best supplements for your goal. That's easy. But unless you understand that this is a lifestyle change and not a diet, you're going to lose, because the long game is lifestyle, right? The long game. I just did a post this morning about reinventing yourself, right? Knowing yourself, growing evolving and moving forward. And I believe, Michael, so deeply in this that I believe that a huge percentage of people that are diagnosed with depression maps back to they're not willing to face those fear barriers and move on the other side. They go back into safety. And because we're here to grow, evolve, and move forward, what happens is your subconscious reminds you that you didn't do it, right? You're not growing, evolving, and moving forward. So now that depression sets in because that's not how we're built to our core. Yeah. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, that's cool. That's another way of thinking of it. So moving forward, I guess, what is it that we need to implement up here? I know that you're big on some morning routines. You're big on attitude, mindset, stuff like that. Give us a little insight on kind of, I know you have your monster morning routine that you kind of go through and stuff like that. I have a little bit of a routine that I kind of go through, a little unconventional to a certain degree, but let's hear what you've been preaching to a lot of people.
I love it because it's been such a game changer and evolution and growth for me in so many ways. So, and it just evolved, right? As I didn't know, let me share this. When I share it's called Monster Momentum Morning, because we're all about branding here, right? Monster Momentum Morning, and the subtitle is Ask, Align, and Allow. So when you put it out there and you ask, now if you're not aligned, right, it bounces off. Once you align with what you're asking for, now you just have to sit back and allow.
Yeah. So that's the teachings more or less of the laws of the universe. So basically putting it out there to the universe, and then I guess you're talking about as far as aligning, being in the same vibration as what you're seeking. And I think that's huge.
And let's even say this, because there's also going to be people on here that are saying this is unicorn rainbow bullshit, right?
It's definitely not. I can attest to that.
Well, two things. First of all, anybody that does believe that, I will debunk that right now. Just go follow and listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay, Dr. Joe Dispenza bridges the mystic with the practical better than anybody. And I say this, you know why? Because he's done over 8,000 brain scans, heart scans, body scans when you're in meditation. He debunks the mystic, right? So I'll let him do that part. But when I say allow or align, what that means is expectation. Mm-hmm. See, when you ask for it, if you don't expect it, it's not going to come, right? And allowing is the law of attraction. With the movie The Secret got a lot of bad press because people said, oh, you're just saying sit on their couch and everything's going to come to you. No, that's not what they're saying. And for anybody that's saying that's watched that movie, they either they're not getting it, or they're just using that as a branding mechanism and marketing mechanism to get attention, right? At the end of the day, it's very simple. It's life 101. It's inspired action versus hustle and grind. We hear, your industry hears and gets thrown up on hustle and grind. Yeah. To me, hustle and grind, the candle is going to go out. The flame's going to go out. Inspired action means something that actually gets your juices flowing. That's why reverse engineering your business is so important, right? I don't want to be stuck on the phone with my accountant. I don't want to do the books, right? Yeah. That's not inspired action to me, but I can fill that spot, right? So I can do what I want to do. So again, it's ask, align, and allow. Expect it. That's so vitally important. And I do 5 different types of meditation. It's a 2-hour process for me. The Monster Momentum Morning starts between 4 and 5 in the morning, usually ends between 7 and 7:30. That's even before the gym. Wow. Because you know why, Michael? Because and also there's also going to be people like I was that said, well, I can't meditate. My mind's too busy. Well, there's different types of meditation, right? So I do emotion meditation to get my heart rate going, get the blood circulating, and wake up as soon as I get going. As soon as I get out of bed, I have a treadmill. I do light 10-minute cardio, light, right? Just to get the juices flowing. After that, I do 10 to 15 minutes of full body stretching. That's a stretching meditation, right? So we have motion meditation, stretching meditation, and then I come into my office, I shut the lights out, put a bandana on, and now it's quiet meditation, right? And that's where people think that a lot of people think, especially in our world, right? When it's a go, we think that it's so hard for us to do that, where there's some hacks to that I learned over the years. And number one is, if you're having issues, first of all, our mind is built to be busy, right? So don't beat yourself up. When you have these thoughts come in, just let it go, right? Don't beat yourself up and say, I can't do this. Okay, cool. I thought about Michael today. Let it go, right? And start to focus on a sound in the room. Or what I do is I visualize. You know, when you're watching a video and you have the two strips and it's the pause?
Yeah.
I think of that pause in my mind. I'm pausing all my thoughts, right?
Yep.
For that moment in time.
Yep.
Then, and that's usually about 20 minutes. And then after that, I do a reading meditation. And the book that I give out when I speak, and this book was given to me by Bob Proctor back in 2007. He said, son, if you read this book the rest of your life, you will constantly grow. And I buy them in bulk and I give them out. But I'll take I'll even do if a sentence hits me, I'm good. I'll put it down. If a paragraph hits me, I'm good. I'll put it down. If it means that I'm reading through the whole chapter, good, right? Yeah. So that reading meditation is so vitally important for me. So when I share this, I had people ask me in the beginning, oh, did you follow, I forget what it was called. It became real popular a few years ago, like some sort of morning routine. Okay. Very, very popular. But I never followed it. All I did was do what entrepreneurs do, right? Just start, and then it starts to evolve, and then it gets better and better and better. So, and this is coming from a guy, Michael, back in the day a kid from Jersey, right? I go, meditate. What am I going to meditate for? I can't meditate, right? I used to say, if I meditate, I'm not allowed back in my neighborhood. Right?
I think it's huge, right? I mean, mind, body, and soul all go together. That's pretty much what you're saying in that aspect of, taking, I guess there's a way of looking at taking stock. You need to take a stock. I think it was a speech by Matthew McConaughey that he did at one of the graduations. So you got to constantly be taking stock of your inventory, and that's your soul, your health, your mind, your relationships, your friendships, and things are always going to be fluctuating. But if you ignore those stocks and let them go into the red, you need to now nurture them and get them back up into the black. So I think from our perspective, as far as, in this conversation, more mind, body, and soul. And I'm probably one just as much as Blame. I'm probably really good on two of them, but probably on one of them, I'm probably lacking, which I need to now take inventory and kind of go through. But I do something similar, not as lengthy, obviously. But every morning that I wake up, whether it's while I'm taking a shower or in the washroom or something, we're getting the kids ready for school and stuff like that. But I'm focused on, even the night before, what I'm going to do today, how I'm going to do it, and it excites me. And that's what I was thinking about that earlier. And I'm like, every morning when I think about what I'm doing, I'm excited about it. So I was excited that this morning I had to do an offer for a restaurant, and then I was going to be speaking to you this afternoon, which is exciting. So I'm pumped. I'm invigorated by my daily routines, and it's consistently different. But I'm focused on that, what I'm going to do. And then I'm also reflecting on myself as well. And again, maybe I'm taking a little bit of inventory, and maybe I'm doing it unconsciously, but inventory of everything that's happening. And now I just got to bring up the physical aspect as far as my health goes. But those are some two things. And I think a lot of people either will ignore or neglect certain aspects, and one stock may rise significantly. But if you don't take inventory, one stock's definitely going to sit lower.
It's 100%. And let's put this into perspective, right, for the audience, because I know how they think. If you don't take stock, you don't evaluate on a consistent basis your business, what happens? It disappears, right? Same thing in our personal life. If we don't take stock, and one of the things that you talked about, I'm going to give the audience a real, after I share my Monster Momentum morning, especially for people that don't even think about doing this, it's overwhelming. So I'm going to give you something that you can apply now instantly that's going to start to really, really resonate with you if you're willing to do it. It's called the Daley, D-A-L-E-Y branding, gift list. Okay. Now, anybody that follows me on social media, I post my gift list from yesterday, the net following day. What the Daley gift list is, and this has helped me. This is unbelievable. When you're in this zone, Michael, there's times where you feel like you're just flying. So we're conditioned to tell you at the end of the day about the flat tire, not about that awesome customer service, that waitress went over and above to make sure you had a great meal, right? We're conditioned to tell you about the flat tire. Mm-hmm. This is what the Daley gift list does. That changes that paradigm, that changes that conditioning. So now what happens is life throws us gifts if we're willing to see them. And now when you acknowledge them, so on my phone, when I get a gift from life, I jot it down, right? At the end of the day, I'm 25, 30 gifts in, and I know I missed 50, right? I know I missed 50. But and here's the power of this, Michael, and I'm always working on it, right? Is when you can catch that gift in the moment and you stop everything and you put that on your phone, the feeling is absolutely, it's like an unstoppable feeling. It's like flying. I don't know how else to say it, man. It is the Daley gift list. Try it.
Yeah, but and I think that speaks exactly what you were talking about as far as being aligned.
Yes.
And you have to be aligned in that, right? So you could, like that, we see that picture of the one guy sitting on the bus looking this way into the sun, the other guy looking at the mountains. It's such a beautiful day, it's such a shitty day. All about perspective on things, right? And if you're aligned to try to take out all the good or the positive, or as you put it, all the gifts that are given to you throughout the day, and you can now piece them together. And I think it's very important at the end of the day, or on your phone or on a piece of paper, that here, look at this happened, this happened, this happened. You start to realize that shit, it's not, things are not so shitty as they seem to be, because I have all these gifts that are coming to me all the time. If you're aligned that way. And I think that's the shift that a lot of people need to make, is to be aligned, to start understanding all the gifts that we have throughout the day, as opposed to looking at the flat tire at the end of the day that, ruined your day, or look at the flat tire you got, but that good Samaritan that pulled over, that helped you do it, put a smile on your face, you end up walking away, you shook his hand, and you felt good that, wow, someone actually helped me with my flat tire. So there's all different perspectives, and how you align, or where you're vibrating, on what level you vibrate on, will really depend on what you attract, I think.
I love that. And I have a whole keynote on the power of perception, right? Because I believe that how we perceive is how we receive.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
How we perceive is how we receive. And I'd love to go just touch on this, because I know the audience, this is like one of the biggest, how can I bring value that's really going to drive down to your audience? And I'm so familiar with your audience, right? When it comes to commission sales, and I don't care if it's selling houses, mortgages, high-end vehicles, whatever it is, right? We run into a lot of the same things. And we talked about inspired action, how that's the game changer, but how do you get there to reverse engineer? So one of the things that I do when I coach any client, I don't care who it is, we don't go past this until we drive this down. And it's so the 90-day brand builder bootcamp, personal development and practical steps. Well, check this out. It's called 7 Levels Deep. I'm not sure if I shared this with you or not.
I don't think I've never heard this one yet. No, 7 Levels Deep. No.
Check this out. This is not, I didn't create this. This is not mine. First of all, anybody in the personal development world tells you they created something new, run, don't look back. This all goes back to antiquity, right? Like Bob Proctor says, hey, all my information comes from Think and Grow Rich, right?
Rich,
So
exactly. Yeah.
I learned this from Dean Graziosi, right?
Yeah.
He learned it from his marketing guy, Joe Polish. But check this out. This is so, I get the chills. This is so powerful, Michael. It's 7 levels deep on your why.
Okay.
Okay? Here's what happens. We go 7 levels deep, and we want to, and understand this, the 7 levels deep can be applied to your business and your personal life. And I do it every single morning, right? 7 levels deep. So here it is. We want to know why you're doing what you're doing, or why you're moving in the direction you're moving. Here's why this is so powerful. Every single person I've done this with, including myself, every single one, Michael, not even an exception, honest to God, the first 3 levels, a lot of times, is about them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The third 3 levels, so there's 7 levels. The third 3 levels starts to now include other people. And the 7th level is so magical that when every single person, the same thing, Michael, when you get to that 7th level, it's not about you.
Mm.
See, and I believe that when your why becomes bigger than you, you literally become unstoppable. But what's that map to? That maps to what we talked about earlier, right? It maps to inspired action. So when that why, right, becomes about somebody else or other things, right, not about you, that flame never dies out.
Beautiful. So it's not a short-term motivational aspect. It's not a short-term thing. The why is deep down, that actually speaks to your soul and sparks that motivation from way down deep within. It's not that fancy car, or it's not that X amount of dollars. It's something way, way deeper than that, that actually is sparking the flame.
It's so true. And I have in the program, the digital program I put together in the workbook, I actually have an example. And the example literally is a real estate agent. And
Wow.
She went from herself to her family. The 7th level, when we got 7 levels deep, right? It went to her community.
Wow.
Like it went, and she's changing her community as we speak, right? And here's the other powerful thing about this. And I want them to understand what you just said is so on point. You don't even know. The top 3 is your head. The bottom 3 becomes your heart. The 7th level is your soul.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
your soul. Now that becomes your signature story. People don't want to know what you're in business with, right? They want to know why you're in business. They want to connect. In today's world, your personal brand trumps your business brand all day long. Mm-hmm. That's the long game. That's the difference between branding and marketing in 2020 versus 2004, like Gary Vee says, right? That's the difference.
So basically, we need to figure out the deep rooted why in order to have a consistent or maintain that inspiration or that motivation.
And here's the other thing. What happens is, because I'm the fear barrier guy, right? I love to help you pull people through their fear barriers. That's what my book's about. Fearless is bullshit. But here's what happens. When your why becomes bigger than you, you become unstoppable. So when you hit those fear barriers, right? Instead of going back into safety, you go back to that 7th level, and it pulls you through. Right? It pulls you through every single time. This is so powerful, Michael. It's the very first thing that I work with any client. If we don't go past this, we don't move on. Amazing. That's the foundation of this, dude.
That's a really great thing. Yeah, because that speaks volumes, and that actually puts the strategy or the floor plan of exactly where you need to go. And it's very probably unconventional when you think of it. Well, how can I do better in business? Well, it's not by doing all these micromanage stuff, which is, having a system all this up. It's you need to have this first, heart and soul into it, and know why you're doing it. in order for it to be genuine. I think that's the biggest thing. And that's what you're really getting to, is that when you can, speak deep to yourself on why you're doing things, the motivation is always there, but the genuinity of it will just shine regardless. And it doesn't look like it's staged or fake. It's something that's deep, that means a lot to you. Therefore, you're going to work differently about it, I think, right?
And you're also going to put out that energy where people are going to understand that. They're going to connect with that, right? They're going to feel that. Right? When you walk into a room, look, you walk into a car dealership and there's 3 salesmen that come up to you, and 2 of them you're like, man, right? It's just the energy. The other one, there's a connection. Because look, at the end of the day, in the world we live in today in 2020, here's the deal, right? The deal is your vulnerability becomes your credibility. Your vulnerability becomes your credibility. And the 7 levels deep help that. And one of the other things that I love to share and teach is, either from digital stages, or even coaching, is your signature story, right? Is your signature story. Because when you could tie in that 7th level deep why, and now you tie in a real life story, now you're going to connect with the heart. Then you start to share your practical things that that's going to help your audience in your industry. Then you tie back in another heartfelt story, or you leave an open loop from the first story, tie that back in. And at the end, here's where a lot of people fall down, Michael, especially in your industry, right? Is that social proof. That's the 4th pillar. Here's what I mean by that. Listen, it's 2020. We don't want to see your staged headshots. We don't care about that. We want to see the family that bought their first house, never thought they could, and they're like this in the air with the keys in their hand, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You're selling cars. You want to show that family that just got their car that they never thought they were going to get, or whatever that is, right? Your industry is thrown up on these headshots and all this professional and it's so tight you can't even breathe, right? We don't want that, right? We want the real. And here's what happens when you show up real, raw, and live, and you can build that bulletproof self-image. You're going to attract the ideal clientele. Because let's be real, I'm there. I also own and operate a fire restoration business out here, as you know, right? When you're in sales and you have your own business, if you could tell me that I could attract my ideal clientele, beautiful, because I don't want the nightmare clients. Let's keep it real, right? Let's keep it real. So that's what showing up real, raw, and live does. And this is a process. There's no pill that you can take to make this happen. But there are real world practical steps, like the daily gift list, that you could start to just implement, and then grow on that for whatever works for you.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that you said there with regards to that is, if you can show people your deep down why, if you can show them that number 7, if people see really that number 7 and the genuine why you're really doing this, and you're able to display that in specs through your social media or how you talk to people, that's, I think, what gets you traction. Like you're saying, they don't want to just see the house for sale or all this other stuff. They want to see you. They want to see your trials and tribulations. They want to see why you're doing this. They want to see what stuff you've overcome. It's funny you say that, because the biggest popular thing I'm noticing now is people want to know more about you. They want to know more about me. They want to know more about that insight. They don't want, like I found before, I know at least in the real estate business, you had to keep this, not a facade, but this more professional film that no one wanted to talk to a single person. They wanted to deal with the company and all this other stuff. But I'm finding, at least in the real estate business, I find people now want more of that interaction. They want more of that relationship. They want that feel-good feeling, whether it's, selling a house or whether it's buying a car or doing a mortgage. I think people are now more in need of that, especially in this day and age, where they feel they're important, where they feel that they you're listening to them, but more importantly, they understand you and they can follow you and see that you're a human being as well. And you're not just this prototype thing that just is in this square box. So I think that's a huge thing. And that number 7 really has resonated with me, is that why. Really, really, what is that deep down why for you?
I love it. And you know what? You ready for this?
Yeah.
This is perfect for your audience. Here's the metaphor. You want to become a home, not a house.
Yep.
You want to become a home, right? Yep. You want to invite them in. And when you go into the 7 levels deep and you start to implement the signature story blueprint, here's what happens, right? So let's sum it up this way. The difference between 2004 and 2020, ready? 2004, it's what you knew and who you knew.
Yep.
2020, it's what you know, it's who you know, but who knows you.
Yeah.
Right? And here's what I mean by that. If your agents aren't getting on 2 to 3 podcasts a week, they're falling down. If they're not figuring out how to get on physical stages once a month, right? They're falling down. They're not utilizing all their resources. And when you follow this blueprint and tie in your 7th level, you automatically share your signature story, your why, both in a heartfelt and a practical step. So getting on podcasts, you could repurpose these. You can blast them out. You get on a 20-minute podcast. I actually have that you're going to be on, right?
Next week,
yeah. Right. Now what we do is we repurpose for you. So my virtual assistant, we chop them up into clips, attach you on it, and spit them out to our social media. And then I have a company that handles all of the other platforms for the show. But if your agents aren't doing that, now here's the difference though. When you have the right plan in place and follow the right blueprints, you're going to be able to really leverage that podcast, that physical stage, that webinar, because you have a direction, right? Yeah. Now you have something to follow, because most people are like, I don't know what they're going to ask. I don't know what to say. Now you have that, and you can also help direct that host, right? What it goes. That makes sense?
That makes perfect sense. So leading to that, actually, it's a good segue. Let's talk about terror barriers. So guys, you're talking about all this stuff a lot, and that probably scares a lot of people. So a lot of people to go on a podcast, or people to even express to the public their deep down why. People encounter terror barriers a lot. We've both learned it through a lot of the, Bob Proctor talks about it a lot in a lot of his courses. And breaking through those terror barriers is where the growth, I think, really does happen for a lot of people, even though they don't know it. But it's allowing yourself to get past those terror barriers. So how do we get past some of those terror barriers, Dave?
Great segue, man, because that's my wheelhouse. That's my oxygen. It's understanding, first of all, identifying, right? Those fear barriers. That's number one, identifying, because if you can't identify them, you can't do anything about it, right? You can't start to fix it. One of I call it so first of all, your fear barrier is going to be, and always will be, the biggest bully that you ever encounter. Right. And in my book, Fearless is Bullshit, I say, let me teach you how to get your lunch money back from that bully every single time.
I love that little line.
Right? Yeah. There's only one way to get your lunch money back from that bully. You can make it sound politically correct. You can put all the bells and whistles on it. But at the end of the day, you got to step up and get your money back. Right. In order to do that, I put together what's called the Bully Buster. OK. And it's a multi-level step. First and foremost is identifying your goal, your direction. Where are you going? Right? Second is identifying your why. Okay. Third is inspired massive action, but inspired, which now gives you your results. So think about this, Michael. Let's reverse engineer this.
Sure.
If you're not getting the results that you're looking for, or that you thought you should have at this point, let's go back to the top. Let's talk about, what is that goal? What is that direction? Is it clear? Is there clarity? Is there expectation? Second, How deep is your why? Are you keeping it real, right? And I love to call people out on that when I coach them, because we start to go in for 3 levels. Third level, they start to try and, if they're afraid, they start to try and
weasel their way out of it. Yeah.
Come on. So make sure that why really resonates with you and makes you emotional.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a hard thing for some people to come up with, is that why. So that may not, just so we're clear, some people may not know the why right off the bat.
Most don't, right? Especially not at the 7th level.
That's right.
That's why it becomes so emotional, right? Dan talks about, he literally, when he realized that it was about his kids and about so much more than him, he said when he got to the 7th level, he actually started to cry. Yeah. Like he started to, but that's it, right? That's the real.
And that's it. That's where some people won't even do the whole exercise, because that why is so unquestionable for them, or they don't know it. But I think what you're saying is that you got to work through those steps to get to that why. And I think to become enlightened, you really need to know that why.
Yeah, look, it's the foundation, right? It is everything. And what I love about this process is we hear about what's your why. You need your why. You need your, but the 7 levels takes you so deep. Now, here's a hack, right? For people that are just terrified and will not move forward at this point to share their become real, raw, and live with themselves. Okay, great. And your industry is so perfect for this.
Yes.
Let's reverse engineer this. Let's go to the testimonials. Let's share that family that didn't think they could get that house, or that guy that just got his 3rd investment property through you, right? And now has massive passive income because of you. I'm just using examples, right?
Yeah,
so if you're not, and then we baby step right into that. And then eventually, once we really nail down the 7 levels deep, now, because it hits you so hard here, that you find that courage to share it because of how powerful, because it's not, ultimately, your why is not about you.
Yes.
It's just not. It's just not, right? It becomes about other people or other, like that realtor.
Bigger than you. It's bigger than you.
Her community, right? She felt that her community was oppressed for a long time, but it had so much to offer. She is lighting the world on fire, right? Because her why is bigger than her.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we hear the story about a car fell on or something heavy fell on a mom's kid. She picks this up to get her kid out. It's not because she's been to the gym. It's not because she's superhuman. It's because her why is bigger than her, right? And made that happen. I'm using a physical experience there, but at the end of the day, that's what I mean. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Yes. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. That's why 3 different companies in 3 different industries, right? It's how you do this. It's the same recipe, different ingredients.
Beautiful, beautiful. So getting back to the terror barriers, what are a couple more things that people can get through? And I'm using just maybe a very simple one. A lot of people don't want to go on camera. They don't want to do some video posts or do stuff like that. Again, I'm referring back to maybe my industry. A lot of people, need to.
That's okay, right?
Ear for them, or they don't want to do that. Yeah, let's use that as an example. But how do we get past some of these barriers, these terror barriers?
So great question, dude, because it's going to take us right back to where we began, right? And that's what I mean. Same recipe, different ingredients. Yep. Understand your strengths, right? I wrote a book, Fearless is Bullshit, in 2016. And I said to my editor and my company, I said, I'd rather have root canal done than write a chapter. She laughed, right? So I audioed the book to her. She wrote it in my flavor, right? So understanding, I don't want to write a blog. I'd rather have root canal done and sit in his dentist office than sit there and write a blog, especially every day. It's not my thing. Put a camera on, right? Get me, this is my wheelhouse. Yeah. So check this out. Understanding your strengths so you can enhance your weaknesses. So if you are a writer, write them and then you find the people that can create them into a video or an audio and use, don't forget those other mediums, but just find the people and the situations and the formulas that's going to allow you to do that, but in your flavor, right? I don't want to write a sentence. Right? And whenever, here's how much it is for me on a daily basis. When I connect on somebody's cell phone and I see that you don't have an iPhone because there's not a microphone, I'm like, man, go get an iPhone. Throw out the Android because I just want to leave you a message. I do that on LinkedIn now. I saw microphone and Facebook Messenger. I'm a message guy, man. I don't want to have to write that down. But understanding, again, what's it map back to, Michael? It maps back to understanding who you are, what lights your fire, and really what works for you. And so many people, I think, Michael, especially as commission salespeople and small business owners, medium-sized business owners, they think they have to do it all, right? And then if they can't do it all, they feel guilty. Listen, I am the least handy man you will ever meet in your life. I don't know how to hang a picture. I don't want to know. I don't care. I don't know anything about my truck. All I know is I bring it in, they fix it, and that's it, right? And that's who I am, right? That's what makes me tick.
But that gets me back to the Think and Grow Rich, that book, Think and Grow Rich. So I think, was it Ford who, Henry Ford, who didn't have all the tools to do what he needed to do. So he brought in the lawyers, he brought in this person, he aligned himself with this person, he aligned himself, that's not Ford, I can't remember the name, but
no, I know.
But he brought in the experts on his team and aligned himself with whatever he needed and was able to do it. I mean, it's on this, I think we'll have to look at it the same concept as a coach for a sports team, right? You need to bring in all the different tools. Yes, you're the head. You make the decision. You forge the path on where you want to go, but you need to bring all those elements. And yes, I think some people, we don't have all those elements, but there's nothing wrong with bringing that person in that's good at this, or bringing this person in, or this tool, or this system that helps you with that. I think that's kind of the relation back to that book, Think and Grow Rich.
But so ultimately, what are we saying, right? Is our theme today is it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's the same recipe, right? Different ingredients. That's why everything we talked about, your mind went right to a book that was written back in whatever, the 20s, whenever it was written, right? Originally, right? Because it's the same, whether it's Carnegie that owns and operates the largest steel company in the world, right? Or whether it's Jeff Bezos now that has Amazon, right? Or whether it's Mark Cuban. I remember seeing a part of some sort of like interview with Mark Cuban, and I don't remember exactly what it was. It was either a high-end like a car or a boat or a yacht or something. He didn't know about it. What he did in the meeting that he had to travel to from Dallas to wherever that was, maybe SoCal, he literally brought 2 specialists with him that said, okay, I'm going to buy this. You're telling me it does this, this, and this. He refers back to his 2 guys right there and says, does this add up? And they go, this does, but this doesn't, right? You're talking about Mark Cuban, right? Multi-billionaire, right? That is the recipe. And when you said, people, you say, okay, it's all right to do that. Not only is it all right to do that, it's a must, right? It's a must. Yeah.
Definitely. No, that's awesome, man. So, we're at our 50-minute mark. Dave, where can people find you? I know you mentioned you have your book, your coaching. Where can people find you at?
I'm real easy to find, and I'll even shoot it over to you. You can throw it in the notes. Dave Daley, Daley, like monstermotivator.com. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're really, really strong on LinkedIn. And I want to do this for your audience. Anybody that's interested, reach out either to you or me, because you know how to reach me. And let's edify you, your personal and your business brand on Brand Builder TV, and we will repurpose for you at no cost. It's a win-win.
Yeah, that's awesome. So those who don't know, Dave has this thing called Brand Builder. almost kind of like what we're doing, a little bit different, more geared towards brands. And he has different people from different areas and different expertise come on, and he brands them as far as getting a little bit of a couple of snippets of video and stuff like that in their brand name. So I think I'm on Tuesday. If I'm not, I have to check my calendar. I know I'm on next week for sure. Yep. So excited to see that. So Facebook, social media, all that other stuff. Dave, you have a book out that you did in 2016. Where can people order that on your website?
Yeah. Amazon, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. The book, I retitled it last year. The original title is Knockout Fear in the First Round. My message has evolved. So the title is now Fearless is Bullshit. But you can find it either way. And then also on our website, I believe we have my ebook called The Monster Under the Bed. And it talks about how to crush those dreaded fear barriers and get your lunch money back from that bully.
That's awesome. So Dave, you're part of the Prospecting Ninja group. So that's awesome. So anybody in this group that wants to reach out to him, you definitely have access to it. If you have questions, you can post it in here. There's a broadcast on Facebook and all that stuff. Feel free to ask them. Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Wow, man, I appreciate it, man. I love the energy.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
Thanks,
we'll talk to you.
See you, pal.